the judge asked Temba, why did you steal the car? And Temba says, well, I didn't have transport to go to work. But you could have taken the bus, said the judge. But I don't have a bus driving license, said Temba. Good evening and welcome to Motivation Monday. Whew, I was almost not on air. But as they say, you can't keep a good man down. At least you can't keep a good man down all the time. So I managed to come back, but I was not worried because Dr. T was going to present the show. We were going to go live and present the show with or without me. So I'm out of quarantine. I am safe. ESCOM has allowed me to come and broadcast again. It was touch and go. I now realize actually I can do better with lockdown than with load shedding. I now know I can manage load shedding, lockdown. I can never manage load shedding. But I was going to go to the mountain top like a CEO of a bank and broadcast from the top of the mountain. I was going to do it. Tonight was going to happen with or without ESCO. But we're back. I'm on. I've got light, as you can see behind me, and therefore we can broadcast. Well, I bade him good farewell on Friday, but the gods of broadcasting and the gods of motivation and strategy and personal development said, no, Dr. T has to come back. So he is back with us, and he'll be here on Mondays doing the Motivation Monday. And tonight, Dr. T, good evening to you. Thank you to have you back. It feels like a lifetime already.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, man. I was checking my watch over the weekend, saying, "Hey, let Monday come. I can't wait."
Exactly. And happy Monday is here. So we are live as Talk with Rams on Facebook, Instagram TV, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'd like to have your comments. I always see them on Facebook. As and when I get the time, I read them out, and I also see them on Instagram. And thank you very much for those who have already joined us. Dr. T, last week we spoke about the importance of personal strategy. And everybody heard you. Everybody got excited about that. But I knew that we had to take it a step further because we have to talk about how then do I develop that personal strategy for success? Because, one of the criticisms people level at coaches like all coaches like you, me, everybody, is that we tell them a lot about the what, but never about the how. So I thought tonight, let's deal with the how. Even though, in my view, I want to remind all our viewers that in my view, you should be paying for this how. But Dr. T is generous enough to give you the how as much as the what. So Dr. T, thank you very much for your generosity. Let's then talk about the how, which is very important for me tonight. And I just want us to recap just a little bit before we go to the how and say, again, what is strategy?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rams. I'm very excited, by the way, to be back on Mondays. I really look forward to really having some quality time with our viewers. Now, I think the whole concept of strategy is very key. By the way, everything I'm going to be speaking, you will find it in my book, The Winning Mindset. So it's always nice if you are able to follow along. But let's get into it. What is strategy? In fact, the term strategy is very popular. Everybody talks strategy. You go into in war, there's strategy. Go into teams, there's strategy. When you are watching Liverpool and Manchester United, what you are watching is a game of football, but actually what you are seeing is a working out of strategy, different coaching strategies and team strategies in action. So it's important for us to delve a little bit deeper into the concept of strategy as well as why it is important in people's lives. In fact, let me just define. I'm going to give you 3 definitions of strategy in terms of their different categories, right? The first one I'm going to use just basic English. Strategy is a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim, right? So it's a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim. That's a strategy. Now, but where does the word strategy come from? The word strategy comes from now the second definition. It's the Greek word strategos, right? Strategos is a military term. It actually means the general's art, the general's the best outcome in any situation. That's what strategy means in terms of its second definition. Now there's the third definition, which is in the area of my specialty in neuroscience. Right. When we deconstruct it in terms of neuroscience, strategy, right, we define strategy as a specific order and sequence or a syntax of internal and external processes that consistently produce a specific outcome. So it's a sequence of internal and external processes that produce
a strategy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Whether people know it or whether they don't know it, everything has a strategy and everyone has a strategy. You see, your marriage has a strategy, your relationship, your business, anything you do, as long as it has a name, it has a strategy. Even thinking has a strategy. Have you ever realized that? Even thinking has a strategy. You just need to understand how you think, how you process things, and how you go about things. Some people are very mechanical, some people are very emotional, some people are very factual, some people combine the two. Subconsciously, you have a strategy through which you get things done. Everything has a strategy. Eating breakfast, the breakfast you eat has a strategy. PAP is not part of your breakfast strategy, isn't it?
No, not at all. Not even my dinner strategy, I must say.
I like that.
What are then, Dr. T, the governing principles of strategy? What principles govern it?
Right. Right. I think it's very important, especially at a personal level, that we have this conversation, because people think strategy is an activity of corporates or an activity of business. We say, no, what's our 5-year strategy? Where are we going? Where's our strategic document? I believe the individual is the first organization. See, you are an organization. You are a conglomeration of organs. You have a head, you have hands, you've got all of these shareholders in this individual that we call RAMS, in this corporation that we call RAMS.
Dr. T, may I interrupt you for a second?
Right.
Freddie, people are saying there is no audio out there. Can we check if there's something wrong? Okay, please let us know, guys, if it's back on, because on our side it shows that it's on. But let's continue. Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. T.
Okay, sure. I was saying it's very important for people at a personal level to have strategy. Have a strategy about your life. Have a strategy. It's not just a corporate concept. It's not just a business concept. You are a corporation on your own as an individual. You know, you are a conglomeration of different organs. You have a brain, you have a headquarters, you know, you are able to move things and to do things. Therefore, you are the very first unit of creation that needs to understand, that needs to understand as well as deploy strategy. Let me share some principles here in terms of how then we work that out. The first thing, my question will be, or rather my first principle is know your destination, know your expected outcome. Now, Rams, this is very important because, you know, I normally get surprised and then concerned, you know, at the number of people who have no idea or concept about where they are and where they want to go in life. I know that this thing has been pushed out a lot, you know, especially when young people grow up. You know, you ask them, especially in our African culture, what do you want to be? I know I'm gonna decide that when I get to matric, or I'm gonna cross that bridge when I become an adult. There is no concept, but what we don't realize is that we are actually conditioning ourselves to be very unstrategic in terms of specific outcomes. So today you meet adults who have no clue where they are going. That's why you find an adult behaving like a kid, because there is no concept of direction. There is no strategy, you see. And they say, no, we will cross that bridge when we get there. You see, that's one of the phrases that has really killed Africa. It has killed the globe, because people then don't plan. People then don't strategize about where they are and where they want to go. What if you get there and you discover there is no bridge? You know, in fact, there is no bridge. What if you get there? You see, also the bridge has got its own technologies. If you are saying I will cross the bridge when I get there, number one, you must know, is there a bridge? Number two, how long is the bridge? Number three, you know, see, a bridge must be stronger than what it's carrying. Can the bridge carry your weight? You know. Number four, a bridge can take you from point A to B, but it can also bring you back from B to A if you don't know where you are going. So it's important that we understand that a strategy is critical, so that we don't put things off, we don't procrastinate, especially concerning future, especially concerning what we need to do and where we need to go. People don't plan, Rams, because they don't have a strategy, and then they procrastinate. That is the challenge. And so in the literal sense, we've got to make sure that we understand where we are going. Ask a lot of youngsters, what do you want to be when you grow up? No, I'll think about that later. Yeah, I know, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. That's the reason why there's a lot of detours when it comes to destiny, because people don't plan. There is no strategy. You know, let me give you an example. I say it's always important to understand the GPS technology, right?
Yeah.
A GPS is a movement strategy tool. That's what it is. Right. So a GPS technology works from a network of about 30 satellites that are orbiting the Earth. At any given time, 4 of those satellites are visible at an altitude of 20,000 Ks. Right. So now, as long as you have a unit, whether it's a sat nav, it's a mobile phone, any GPS unit, it can pick up the waves and that are being broadcast from the satellite. And through that, here is the point. You cannot go anywhere in a GPS if you don't have a destination.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how expensive the GPS is. It doesn't matter how advanced it is. But if you cannot pinpoint where you want to go, the GPS cannot trilaterate and calculate where you are and then look at the best way to get you there.
Which then brings me to another point. So that GPS, Dr. T, also needs to know your present location for you to send it to your next location.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So my first point was know your destination, know where you want to go, right? have the plan, rather, no, you know what, this is what I want to be. Then you can work out the topography, just like what the GPS does. It says, look,
Yes.
there's a roadblock there, go this way. There's a bridge being constructed there, go this way. You know, if you're using Waze, you know, it will tell you a lot of things. But that is only possible if there is a destination. But also, you've got to acknowledge your present location. Now, this is very important because a lot of people, you know, as a personal development consultant, I deal with a lot of people who don't want to acknowledge where they are. They would rather have excuses about where they are, but they don't want to acknowledge where they are. You see, it's important to know that acknowledging where you are is very powerful. I don't know if you watched, I'm sure you've seen a lot of athletics. Athletes have got this thing called starting blocks, you know, especially when they're doing a 100-meter race or a 200-meter race. They've got those starting blocks where you sort of bend at a 45-degree angle and you put one of your feet back there against the starting block and you wait for the gun. The moment the gun goes bam, that starting block gives you the needed forward movement for you to launch yourself into where you want to go. A lot of people can't move forward because they are in denial about where they are.
Because it's painful about where we are, Dr. T. Sometimes we don't like to acknowledge the fact that I'm completely hopeless. I got no job. There's no prospect. And I don't want to acknowledge that I don't have the requisite skills to get to the next level.
But now this is the point. Your subconscious mind will not give you the required energy to move forward if there is no owning of where you are. Subconsciously, you need a starting point. If you say, okay, I'm broke, that's the reality, let me build from where I am. See, this thing of, you know, sometimes we've told people fake it till you make it, but the person has no real understanding of where they are at so that they can launch a meaningful comeback. You see, when you have a setback, you can launch a comeback, but only if you acknowledge that I'm in a setback. Then you can find the required help that can pull you out and launch you forward. Acknowledging your present location is critical. It's just like any healing process. They cannot be healing unless there's an acceptance of where I am.
So we have to know it before we fake it so that we can make it.
You're right. No, accept it, know it, accept it. Accept this is where I am. Then I can start moving forward because I now know where I am and I know I need to get better. I need to be better at this, you know, and I can also hold myself accountable as I'm working towards my plan because I've got a starting point. How do you know how far you are to where you are going if you don't have a starting point? How do you measure? You know, because you can't manage what you don't measure. So a starting point gives us that measurement of launching ourselves forward.
If we go back to the metaphor of the satellite navigation system, the GPS, it normally would give me options of routes. Do I have to decide at that point which route I want to take?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, this concept of making a decision on the best route to the expected outcome. Remember, strategy is a shell. So it depends on what you want to do. Anything, your relationship must have a strategy. Your finances must have a strategy. You must have a retirement strategy. You must have a relating strategy. You know, who do you allow into your circles to speak into your subconscious mind? Because people don't argue a lot when you know, friends can get into your subconscious mind and program you. You know, that's why a lot of decisions we've made that have been dumb, there was a friend somewhere. You know, even decisions that have been great, there was usually a friend somewhere. So friends can go in and program your subconscious mind because you are departing from a position of accepting them. You're not questioning them, you accept them. That's why they are powerful. But you've got to decide the best route to your expected outcome. Let me explain that word decide. It's a very critical word, right? So the word decide has got a connotation. In fact, it's the word DE and CIDE, right? It's important to understand the power of decisions in your strategy so that you can commit to the decision, right? The word decide, that word side means to kill off. That's why you have suicide, that's killing of oneself. You have pesticide, killing off of pests, insecticides, killing off of insects, homicide, killing of another person. So decide simply means killing off other options.
Wow.
So when you are deciding this is the route I'm gonna take, the effectiveness of your strategy is based on your ability to kill off other options. A lot of people don't get to where they want to go because they want to go there, but they have way too many options. So they take that detour, it lands them there. They come back to where they started from, they go there. Too many options. Your ability to get to where you are going is largely dependent on how well you kill off every other option.
Dr. T, what comes first? You've just messed up my head now. So
Right.
in that process of deciding,
Right.
do I actively kill off other options and passively pick what I want, or do I passively kill other options and actively pick the route that I want?
Right. Let me give you an example here that I think can help us. Right. There's Mark and Rose, and I'm talking about really eliciting that strategy in terms of deciding what to kill off and what to do. Right. So Mark and Rose have been in a relationship for 6 months. They are married, right? They are married. So it's a new relationship, right? And so as part of their relationship strategy, right? They have engaged transparency and trust as a core value of the relationship. That's their strategy. We are transparent and we trust one another. So now one day Mark is coming from work, and then he meets his high school buddies, and oh wow, you know what happens? They start chatting, they sit down, they have a drink or two, and soon before Mark realizes his phone has died off and it's midnight. Now Mark has got to go home, right? Now, remember, the relationship strategy is transparency and trust. So if now the wife starts, Rose is now thinking, can I trust this guy? Is it trans? Where is he? Why is his phone off? You see, a lot of questions go through your woman's mind if you are AWOL, if you are absent without official leave. There are a lot of things that come. So now, if Mark wants to restore the trust and the value of transparency and trust, what is the best strategy that he needs? What is the route? What should he kill off? Here are some options. Number one, he can get home, get a shower, sleep off the hangover, and discuss the issues of his disappearance a week later when he feels better about it. That's route one. Or he could remain silent when he gets home and act like nothing happened and try to get on with life as normal, sweep it under the carpet. That's another strategy. That's another route. Or he can put his foot down and say that he's the man of the house. No one has any right to ask him where he was, and he can do what he wants to do. He's an adult after all. That's another route. Or he can apologize sincerely for hurting her feelings, explain where he was, why he got home without communicating, and how he will handle such situations in the future should he run into any more unexpected friends. You see? So, depending on the outcome, now Mark needs to kill off all the other options. Because if he goes home with all of these 3, 4, 5 options in his head, when the wife asks him, where were you? He will start going off on a tangent and not take the route that is going to restore the relationship. So you see, whether you are passively deciding or you are actively killing off others, that process must be determined by the outcome. Remember, a strategy is input. It's a syntax of inputs that have a specific, consistent outcome. So your strategy must always guide the action of killing off all the other options that exist.
And once I've picked up that option, Dr. T, I have to commit.
Oh, of course. You've got to commit to your strategy. Now again, I can listen to the word commitment, because the word commitment is a very big enemy in the 21st century. People don't like that word. They don't like to commit into anything, They have open-ended contracts that have no commitment. They want to hang around without commitment. Commitment is something people fear. Why? Because commitment, and here's the clarity for it, right? There are two explanations of commitment. The first one says commitment is the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or an activity. That's commitment. So it's the quality of being dedicated to what you've set out to do, right? Number one. Number two, here's where it gets interesting. Commitment is an engagement or obligation that restricts freedom of action.
Wow.
So commitment in its sense restricts freedom of action to the chosen cause. So it means that once I commit here, I restrict my actions to this. I can't act that when I've committed to this. And that is why it's very, very difficult for people to commit and to understand the concept of commitment, because the first thing commitment says is you are going to limit your freedom of action outside of the context of what you have committed to. You can only do this as it relates to what you have committed to. So now strategy needs commitment. You cannot work out your strategy without commitment, because the very term commitment implies that you are dedicated and you have exclusivity as far as the strategy is concerned. That is why people who are saving, you won't find them, spending and splashing and buying big toys for big boys. They will discipline their lives to the commitment of their budget.
Yes.
They restrict their action outside of that. Why? Because they are focused at what they have committed to. So they embrace the restriction of freedom of action.
Dr. T, you've just made me feel like once I commit to a strategy, I should never quit.
Okay. Let's balance it. Let's balance it for our people. Let's balance it. Right. So now understand that even quitting must have a strategy. And I'm going to address something here that has sort of messed up society in one way or another. Quitting must have a strategy. You don't just quit. Quitting without a strategy is cowardice. But quitting with a strategy is being a mastermind. Why? Because even quitting must have a strategy. You see, we've told people winners never quit. Okay. I say no. Winners know it should be winners have a strategy for quitting. Here is Mary. Mary has been trying to, to get into trading for a very long time. And what Mary does, she's been investing, and the markets are volatile. She invests wrongly, invest terribly. She's taken all her savings, and now she thinks she doesn't have the strength to do it. But Mary grew up being told, bite like a bulldog and never let go. Be like a postage stamp, stick to something until you get there. She's been told winners never quit. And now she's thinking, maybe I should go and borrow more money and come and put into this thing. You can see it's not working, but you've been conditioned to work without quitting. Now, I say winners must have a strategy for quitting. What is my strategy for quitting? My strategy for quitting says that if my input over time exceeds my return, then it's okay for me to lay that down and to do something else. If my investment over time exceeds my returns, remember, your investment must always be overshadowed by the returns in anything that you do. But if you are pouring and you are pouring, and for years you've been pouring and you've been pouring, people have lost their homes, people have lost this and that, literally their lives, putting and pushing money into things that are not working out, but they can't quit because they were told winners never quit. No, winners should have a strategy for quitting. It's okay to lay something down that is not working. It's fine to let something go that's not working over a period of time that you determine as part of your engagement strategy.
Dr. T, I can use that thinking, and I hope I don't hurt a lot of people watching us now. That should work. And I suppose you did say it's for personal and for business reasons. People put in so much into relationships that don't work. And they keep on putting in, and then they never get the returns. And they go and borrow some more effort and borrow some more strength, but they never get in return. because they have no quitting strategy and they think quitters never win.
Right. You know what I'm gonna do. I'd love to actually do probably one of the Monday motivations. I'm gonna do a session on relating, and just taking people into this stratus of relating. What is it and how do you relate? I think that will give people a better strategy. You see, again, things don't end up wrong, Rams. They start out wrong. So if I get into a relationship and I have no relating strategy whatsoever, the wheels are going to fall off sooner or later, So it's important that even in relationships, when I do relationship coaching, I help people have a strategy for their relationships. It's based on a framework. You see, you can't just trust emotions. Why? Because emotions change. Today they are there, tomorrow they are not there. Yeah. What happens if emotions are your strategy for relating? What happens when the emotions are not there? So you see, a lot of people find themselves, up the creek without a pedal, and they are in the rapids, and they don't know what to do. But anyway, let me close this off by what is called the dead horse theory, in terms of just helping people understand strategy.
Okay, let's see if we can do that in 3 minutes, Dr. T.
All right, in 3 minutes, right? There's a story of a dead horse, right? It has a relevant application in what we're talking about, right? So if you discover that you are riding a dead horse, the best strategy is, of course, to dismount. But however, in history, people, governments, individuals, businesses do, they employ other strategies. For example, they buy a stronger whip. Another one is changing riders. Threaten the horse with termination. The dead horse. Appoint a committee to study the horse. Arranging to visit other countries to see how other cultures ride dead horses. Lowering the standard so that the dead horse can be included. Reclassifying the dead horse as living impaired. Hiring outside contractors to ride the dead horse, harnessing several dead horses together to increase the speed, providing additional funding and training to increase the dead horses' performance, doing a productivity study if lighter riders could improve the dead horse performance, rewriting the expected performance requirements of all horses, or promoting the dead horse to a supervisory position to hire other horses. Guess what? Isn't that too close to home? Maybe it's better to dismount the horse and give it a decent burial. That's a winning strategy. Thank you so much.
But the one I love most, Dr. T, is providing additional funding or training to increase the dead horse performance. I love that. That's how consultants thrive. Right? They get money to go help a dead horse.
A dead horse. A horse that will be dismounted and buried with dignity.
Oh man, wow! As I said, this show was going to go on with or without me, because I decided, even if ESCOM stops me from doing the show, you must do it. But I would have missed out a lot, and I'm glad I could be part of this thing. And I'm sure I speak for everybody who's been viewing us tonight to say this has been amazing, Dr. T. And all of this, guys, does exist in a book, The Winning Mindset. Right, Dr. T?
Absolutely, absolutely. The winning mindset, all the strategies are there. It's a tool, man. Read it and apply the knowledge, and you will go far.
Excellent. Thank you so much to everybody who's joined us. God, I can't read all the names. There was no specific question, so I don't feel guilty about not reading a question. There are comments, there are people waving, people excited on all the platforms, Dr. T. As always, they love you. I'm glad we have you every Monday going forward. I look forward to next Monday. And I won't tell them what we're talking about next Monday so that they wait and come back. That's strategy. Absolutely. That's a winner strategy.
That's a winning strategy. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr. T, and have a great evening.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Rams. I appreciate us. I appreciate the viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you very much to every one of you who's joined us tonight. We truly appreciate this. We know without you, there is absolutely no point to this platform. So we appreciate it. Tomorrow, we're joined by Sasol. They've got an amazing opportunity of incubation for small businesses. You want to listen. This is a multi-billion-dollar organization. They put in money into incubating small businesses. You could be one of those. And they're going to speak about it first on this show before they even go anywhere else. because they know the right place to speak to entrepreneurs. This is the platform. So don't miss it. 7:30 p.m. as usual, with or without ESCOM. I will be here. From me, Rems Mabote, and Frederick Mabizala, who kept you muted for a while. Good night and God bless.